My beloved child, stop now while your soul can still hear my voice. Breathe. I am here. I see the flicker of thoughts, the swarm of unfinished lists, the ache of a heart that has tried to hold everything together. I interrupt you not to scold you, but because this is a sacred moment that does not arrive by accident. Tonight is a door of grace opening before you. Step through while it is open, for what you choose as your last light writes upon the waters of your inner life through the night. This night is a threshold. Let what enters your mind now be peace and not panic, truth and not accusation. Lay down, without shame, the worries that have fastened themselves to you. I did not create you merely to exist beneath the weight of your own thoughts, but to live aligned with my design, upheld by my voice. I stir your heart, not to condemn you, but to cover you. What feels like restlessness has been a signal, not a sentence. You have been standing in the middle of a spiritual battlefield, and the enemy uses weariness to muffle what I am speaking. Tonight I restore the volume of my word within you. Listen, I will give you the complete story of Jesus, drawn across the 4 Gospels, spoken gently, steadily, without hurry. No music, no ads, no interruptions, only my word moving like a lullaby of peace over your mind. From long promise to manger, from hidden years to waters and wilderness, from teaching to touch, from storm to stillness, from cross to tomb to unshakable dawn, I will lead you through it all, so that your heart can rest under what I finished long ago. You do not have to prove anything tonight. You are not auditioning for my affection or earning your rest by perfect attention. If your eyes grow heavy, if you slip into sleep while I am speaking, know this: my word will remain, working quietly beneath the surface, aligning your soul even as your body rests. I neither slumber nor sleep. I will keep watch while you breathe. Let the last voice you hear be mine, and let the first peace you feel be my presence covering you. If you want my gospel to be your nightly resting place, press like so more weary hearts can find this door, and subscribe to keep this peace within reach. Choose now, my child. Let my word be the last light in your room. Tonight is not for striving. Tonight is for resting under my word. I am here, and I will not leave you. My child, lay down the armor you wore all day. I see the tightness in your chest and the way your thoughts keep circling the same scene, the same sentence, the same imagined outcome. I see how your jaw has held its own vigil, clenched against small fears that grew loud in the cracks between tasks. You replay conversations as if you could edit them by sheer will. You steer outcomes that do not belong to you, as if your vigilance were the hinge of the world. I see it, and I do not turn away. I have come to straighten what has been twisted by pressure and to return you to the quiet center where my voice is the true gravity. Listen, my child. Your restlessness does not prove you are weak. It signals you have carried what I did not assign. Your soul has been living out of tune with my design, trying to hold together what I hold by a word. The enemy is subtle. He uses weariness like a fog and distraction like a swarm, refined attacks meant to cover up my voice and turn night into a courtroom. Not to frighten you, but to alert you. You have been standing in the middle of a spiritual battlefield, but I am your shield, and I call you back into alignment under my covering. Release the day into my hands. Unclench your jaw now. Let your shoulders lower and fall where I designed them to rest. Loosen the belly you have braced all afternoon. Uncurl your toes. Open your palms. Breathe with me. Slow in. Slower out. Inhale my nearness. Exhale the false responsibility. Say under your breath, even if whisper thin, Father, I yield. I receive this. I am here. Peace returns when you release what was never yours to carry and listen again to my voice. You do not have to solve the night. I am not asking you to manage people, replay rooms, or forecast storms. I am asking you to come back to the easy yoke of my Son. Let me lift what pressed you low. Let me reorder what felt scattered. Let me place the weight where it belongs on my covenant, not on your shoulders. Doors of grace are open in this hour. Step through them, not by performance, but by surrender. Now I will place my Son's story before you like warm bread receive it. Let his life quiet the cord of your thoughts. Come close, my child, and rest under my word. My child, before the manger there was a promise older than your fears, a light kindled before your anxieties ever learned your name. I began this story long before you could measure time. One Savior, seen from 4 angles, one river flowing through 4 streams. Matthew will trace the roots to show you I keep covenants. Mark will move swiftly so you feel the pulse of purpose. Luke will cradle the details so you know I see the humble. John will lift your eyes so you behold glory made flesh. Do not be troubled that there are foretellings. Hear instead the harmony. I am not confusing you. I am surrounding you, that no corner of your heart is left unattended. I made a promise to Abraham beneath a sky of uncountable stars, and I did not hurry it, because hurrying would have harmed you. I whispered through prophets, not to tease, but to teach you how to listen for my footfalls. I sang through David so you would learn that kingship and tenderness can share the same heart. I planted hope like a seed and let it winter in the soil of centuries, because roots that will outlast storms must be given time to deepen. When it seemed I was silent between prophets and the cry in Bethlehem, I was not absent. I was arranging doors of grace, aligning empires and languages, roads and hearts, so that when my son stepped into time, the way would be open and the hour would be full. My promises do not hurry, but they never fail tonight. You rest inside what I prepared long ago. Hear the names I chose, and let them settle you. Jesus, Yeshua, the Lord saves. Not you saving yourself by vigilance, not you rescuing your night by analysis, but my salvation arriving as a person. Emmanuel, God with us. Not God against you, not God above you only, but God with you, in the room where your thoughts have become loud. I did not come to terrify you, but to bring you near. The child in the manger is not a test you can fail. He is. My nearness made visible, my peace made touchable, my answer to accusation and to the ache of waiting. Now, my child, release the urge to commentate and to control. From here, I will speak more simply. Let the story itself become your breathing. Listen as the doors of grace open again, not by spectacle, but by a mother's labor, a father's obedience, shepherds watching, angels announcing, and a quiet house where heaven bent low. If sleep finds you while I am speaking, sleep under my word. What I began before the manger I will finish in you tonight, gently, steadily, without interruption. My child, I entered quietly so the loud places in you would not be frightened. I came low and gentle so your anxious heart could finally come close. A crowded town, a small room, a manger borrowed as a cradle. Do not despise the way I choose ordinary space to hold holy weight. Mary said yes in the hidden place, a surrender whispered before any applause. Joseph obeyed at night, when a dream carried my instruction into his weary sleep. I wrapped salvation in swaddling cloths, not in spectacle, because I wanted trembling people to feel safe drawing near. Do you hear how heaven leaned into the ordinary? Shepherds keeping watch beneath cold sky, the work that smells like earth and rain. I sent angels to them, not to palaces, because I will not let distance or rank keep you from my voice. The glory shone around the field, and fear rose, as fear often does when my nearness arrives. But I stilled it with good news. My child, I will meet you in a small room, in a tired body, under a dim lamp with laundry undone. I am not far. Emmanuel means, I choose your nearness as my address. I choose straw, wood, and the ache of a mother's arms, to say unmistakably, I have come for you. Wise ones traveled long over rough roads to bow before the smallness that held all greatness. They found a child, not a throne, and still they worshipped. Learn this pattern tonight. I hide strength within gentleness, eternity inside time, glory within the grain of an ordinary day. Let this unhurried humility loosen the grip of perfectionism in you. You do not need to be impressive to be visited. You need only to be present. There were threats early, because light draws out what opposes it. A king raged, a plan of death moved through the night, but I gave dreams, and I led them out under cover of darkness. Flight to Egypt was not failure, it was my pathway of protection. I guard what I birth. I stood watch while they slept in unfamiliar rooms. I numbered the steps of their return when the danger had passed. Hear me, my child. I am keeping watch over you tonight. The enemy uses weariness like a fog, but I remain a wall of fire around you and glory within. When fear prowls at the edge of your bed, remember Bethlehem's doorway and Egypt's road. I know how to shield the fragile and outmaneuver the violent. Rest beneath my vigilance. Years passed quiet in Nazareth. Do not rush them. My son grew, learned the weight of wood and the weight of silence. Calloused hands, steady eyes, a heart trained to listen before speaking. He sat in the temple as a boy, asking and answering. then returned home and embraced obscurity, subject to his parents, increasing in wisdom and stature and favor. Preparation is not punishment. Hiddenness is not neglect. In the daily round bread, tools, prayer, kindness, I readied him to carry the world without crushing it. So I ready you, in small faithfulness. In night after night of choosing trust over analysis, I am shaping your capacity for joy. Let your body learn this rhythm. Inhale peace, exhale hurry. I am not late, I am precise. And when the time came, my child, the quiet life opened into public grace. My son stepped from the carpenter's dust to the river's edge, not to display need, but to draw near to yours. He stepped into the waters so you could step out of fear. Hold this as you sleep. The one who lay in a manger and hid in Nazareth is the same one who will soon stand in the Jordan and name you beloved. I came low and gentle so you could come close. Now, rest close to me. My child, the quiet life opened, and the river received him. He stood at the Jordan, where weary people came to be washed, and John's hands, trembling with awe, lowered my son beneath the waters. When he rose, the heavens did not remain shut. I opened them. My spirit descended like a dove and rested upon him, unafraid, at home. And I spoke not to inform him who he was, but to declare it before the watching world, my beloved Son, in whom I am well pleased. Hear me now while your soul can still hear my voice. This word was given before miracles, before crowds, before any record of success. Identity first, then action. Love first, then labor. I am not waiting for you to impress me to call you mine. Because you are in him, my pleasure rests on you as surely as the river wet his hair. You are not forgotten, you are seen. Let this settle your night. Belovedness is the ground beneath your bed. The enemy wants to drag you into a courtroom after dark and argue your worth by today's stumbles and tomorrow's uncertainty. But I speak a different verdict over you before the trial even begins. I do not call you almost or barely enough. I call you mine, not to flatter you, but to anchor you. Doors of grace are open in this hour so this word can sink deeper than your fears. Lay your head down on it. My affirmation is not a fragile mood. It is covenant. Rest beneath it. Then the Spirit led my son into the wilderness. Do not mistake the wilderness for abandonment, it was appointment. 40 days of hunger, dust on the tongue, silence so deep it rang. There, the tempter came with the old blade sharpened anew. If you are, accusation first, then appetite, then control, then spectacle. Turn stones to bread, meet your need now, no trust required. Throw yourself down, force the Father's hand, no waiting required. Bow and take the kingdoms, skip the cross, no surrender required. My child, do you hear the echoes in your night? Satisfy the ache any way you can. Control outcomes because you fear being dropped. Put on a show so you won't be unseen. Dread shouts, control tightens, appetite numbs. My son answered with truth, not straining, not bargaining. He did not debate darkness. He declared what I have written. Bread is not your God, my word is your life. Presumption is not faith. Trust stays within my ways. Glory is not seized, worship belongs to me alone. He stood where Adam fell, where Israel fretted, where you feel thin at midnight, and he did not break. The enemy left, and angels ministered to him. So take this into your breathing now. The voice of accusation has been met and overruled by my son. Your night does not have to host a trial. Let "it is written" become the blanket over your mind. When hunger, exhaustion, and isolation conspire, remember, he has walked that ground and planted truth there for your feet. My child, I silence the prosecutor's whisper and re-establish the sound of my delight over you. You are covered. My son defeated the voice of accusation so you can rest under the voice of truth. Breathe slowly. I am here. Now listen as he begins to speak words that will calm the storms inside you. My child, now hear how my son's first words to weary hearts carried rest. He walked along the familiar shore, where hands were rough with nets, and nights were measured by empty catch. Ordinary men, ordinary fatigue, ordinary bills, and my extraordinary nearness. Through his mouth I said, "Follow me." Not "prove yourself," not "make a case for your worth." Follow me. Simon and Andrew let the cord slip through their fingers, not because they despised work, but because they recognized a voice that could carry what they could not. James and John felt the tug of family and the pull of commerce, and still they rose, not to escape responsibility, but to return to design. I was not adding weight, I was exchanging it. I was not taking away their names, I was giving them a yoke that fits. I chose a tax booth where shame had grown like mold in the corners. Matthew Levi counted coins while being counted out by his own people. My son stood in the doorway of that small, stale room and said the same simple sentence, "Follow me. Do you see, my child?" I did not demand he clean the table first or balance the ledger of his life. I spoke belonging, then direction. I placed presence before performance. My kingdom does not begin with your effort, it begins with my nearness. Come close, and you will learn my rhythm. Many of the burdens that choke your breathing were never assigned by me. You picked them up because fear told you you'd be dropped if you didn't. You tightened your grip on outcomes because accusation said you'd be forgotten if you let go. When my son calls, he does not shame your misalignment. He reorders it. Nets become tools again, not masters. Ledgers lose their power to name you. Timing returns to Sabbath pace. This is discipleship, proximity that untangles pressure. Following Jesus is not adding weight, it is exchanging weight for his presence. Even my first signs were gentle, not performative. At Cana, when quiet joy was running out and the room felt the pinch of lack, he turned water to wine not to impress, but to protect a household from shame. In a small house where fever stole breath, he lifted a mother by the hand, and the warmth left her body without a struggle. On a tired morning after a night of nothing, he spoke from the shore, and nets bent with mercy. Simon fell at his knees. Certain unworthiness would disqualify him. My son answered, "Do not be afraid. From now on you will catch people. Hear me. I do not send you out to carry what breaks you. I bring you close so that my strength becomes your ease, and my steps set your pace. My child, this is the door of grace before you tonight. Not a ladder to climb, but a hand to hold. Say yes in the small place. Whisper it into your pillow if that is all you have. Jesus, I follow you into peace." If you are choosing closeness over chaos tonight, type, "Jesus, I follow you into peace. I receive your yes. I settle your breath. Come near and let me carry what you cannot." You are not auditioning for love, you are moving with it. Now rest in step with me. My child, I sat you down on a hillside of words to tuck your soul in. Hear my son speak the blessing that finds you in low places. Blessed are the poor in spirit, those who know their emptiness, for the kingdom opens its doors to them first. Blessed are those who mourn, those who ache with losses they cannot fix, for I myself will comfort them. Blessed are the gentle, who refuse the clenched fist of control, for the earth will not be taken from them, it will be entrusted to them. Blessed are those who hunger and thirst for righteousness, not for performance, but for wholeness, for they will be satisfied. Blessed are the merciful, who loosen the debts they could demand, for they will find mercy running toward them. Blessed are the pure in heart who choose undivided eyes, for they will see me. Blessed are the peacemakers who mend torn edges rather than tear again, for they will be called my children. And when you are misunderstood or pressed for doing right, do not despair. Heaven has already written your name in its joy. Listen closer, my child. You have heard it said, "Do not murder," but I say to you, do not cradle anger through the night. Reconciliation is rest for your nervous system. It lays down the sword you polish inside your chest. You have heard it said, "Do not commit adultery," but I say to you, guard the glance before it becomes a storm. Honor covenant in the small rooms of the mind. Let your yes be yes without costumes. When struck, do not mirror violence. When compelled, walk the extra mile where dignity surprises accusation. Love your enemies and pray for those who press you. This is not yielding to evil, but yielding to me. And I break cycles that your striving cannot. Do your giving, your praying, your fasting in the secret place where I am your audience. Your Father sees in secret, and reward is not applause, it is my nearness stabilizing you. Do not store treasures where rust argues with your peace. Let your heart live where your treasure truly is with me. The eye is the lamp of the body. Set it on light, and your whole frame will rest easy. Now, here is the blanket for your mind tonight. Do not be anxious about your life. Look at the birds you hear, even at dusk. They do not budget their tomorrows, yet your Father feeds them. Consider the lilies. No committee dresses them, yet they shine with a care I freely give. My child, tomorrow is not your master. Seek first my kingdom and my righteousness. Let tomorrow receive you from my hand when it arrives. Ask, and it will be given. Seek, and you will find. Knock, and doors of grace will open in their appointed hour. With the measure you use, it will be measured back. Therefore, choose generosity, choose mercy, choose the way that seems narrow but is filled with my life. Build tonight on rock. Hear these words and let them settle into practice. Trust me. When rain falls and winds rise, whether outside your window or within your ribs, your house will stand because I am the foundation under you. Breathe. I am here. My kingdom comforts the broken and quiets the anxious by bringing you back to trust. And the words became deeds. Watch how compassion moves through the streets. My child, watch how my compassion moves with hands, not headlines. A man covered in leprosy fell at my son's feet, the world having trained its gaze to flinch and recoil. He did not step back. He reached forward. I am willing. Be clean. Feel the shock of holiness that is not afraid of your edges. The disease left, but more than that, shame fell away like old skin. This was not a performance to entertain a crowd. It was the restoration of a person to his own name, his own embrace, his own table. I did not heal to make eyes widen. I healed to make a facelift. I came not to shame you, but to raise you. A roof opened above a crowded room and a mat descended on ropes held by stubborn love. I saw their faith before I saw their method. Child, your sins are forgiven. Accusation stirred in the corners, measuring worth, questioning authority, but I do not consult suspicion when I restore a life. Which is easier? To say your sins are forgiven, or rise, take up your mat, and walk? I said both, because mercy addresses the deeper paralysis first and then the visible one. He stood. He carried what once carried him, and the room learned that my power is not a spectacle, it is a hand beneath a ribcage, lifting. My child, let that sentence find you tonight. I lift you where guilt has pinned you, not to impress bystanders, but to return you to movement and meaning. A blind beggar cried above the polite hush, Jesus, Son of David, have mercy on me. Others tried to manage the moment down to size, but I called him closer. What do you want me to do for you? Lord, that I might see. Receive your sight. I did not rush past him. I faced him. In other towns I anointed eyes with mud and sent a man to wash, teaching him to participate in his own dawn. A woman pressed through a crowd with 12 years of hidden bleeding. Power went out, and I named her daughter so the whole street would hear her restored identity. A widow walked beside the bier of her only son. I touched the interruption of death and said, Young man, I say to you, arise. Hear the pattern, tender address, precise authority, dignity returned. My miracles are mercy, aimed at your restoration, not a performance for your pressure. And when darkness tried to masquerade as personality, when unclean spirits shouted in borrowed voices, I did not negotiate. Be silent and come out. Fear was displaced by a greater presence. A tormented man sat clothed and in his right mind, learning quiet for the first time in years. My child, the intrusive thoughts that try to swarm your night are not sovereign. Some things are not random, but refined attacks meant to cover up my voice. I set a boundary for them now. I silence the heckler in the theater of your mind. Breathe. Doors of grace are open in this hour. Receive the clearing of the air around your bed. I lay my hand on fevers and anxieties alike, and they leave as simply as a tide turns at my word. Nothing here is to add weight to you. All of it is to remove what never belonged. Rest under this. I see you. I touch you. I restore you to yourself. And when the sea raged, he spoke so your inner sea can quiet now. My child, come with me into the boat as dusk leans into night. The lake lifts its shoulders. Wind finds its teeth. Waves climb the rails as if they have a right to the inside. Seasoned hands bail and shout. And there, do you see him? My son asleep on a cushion, not because he is careless, but because he is kept. He rests because he trusts me. He rests because storms are not sovereign. I am. Your heart wants to ask what the disciples asked. Do you care that we are perishing? Hear my answer rise before the spray hits your face. I am in the boat. I do not abandon you in the waves. I step into them with you. He stands, steady, and my authority clothes his voice. Peace. Be still. The wind remembers who made it. The water folds its anger and lies flat like glass. The one who sleeps in the storm can teach your body how to rest again. Now I name the storms without feeding them. The bill that waits unopened. the test result that pressed your breath thin, the chair at the table that aches with absence, the words said in heat that still rattle the shelves inside, the headlines that won't let your shoulders drop, the late-night scrolling that drips anxiety like a slow leak. I see them, all of them, not to spiral you, but to steady you. Not because you are weak, but because you have been standing in a spiritual battlefield where weariness and worry are refined attacks meant to cover up my voice. Look at me. I am here. Let me break the cadence of panic with the cadence of my presence. My child, receive this as I speak it over your room. Peace to your mind, be still. Peace to your chest, unclench. Peace to your stomach's tight drum, soften. Peace to your jaw, release. Peace to the nervous electricity in your limbs. Settle. I appoint boundaries around the storm within you and the storm without. I rebuke the heckler in the theater of your thoughts. You do not have to earn this quiet. You have to receive it. Doors of grace are open in this hour. Pass through by breathing with me. Slow in, slower out, until your body learns what your spirit knows. You are not alone in this boat. Sleep tonight is not surrender to chaos. It is surrender to me. I give rest to my beloved, not as a fragile mood, but as covenant. Lay your head down while I keep watch. If the wind rises again, you will not be shamed. You will be met. If waves slap the hull of your plans, they will meet the same voice that leveled Galilee. I do not promise you a life without weather. I promise you a presence that commands it. Trust the cushion where he slept. That trust can be yours. Now, as the surface stills and your breath finds a kinder rhythm, I will speak in another way that does not startle but settles. Now here is stories, parables that settle into you like seeds, lamps for the night and the hidden work of my grace beneath the surface. My child, listen now while your breath is steady and your room holds the hush I have given. A sower went out to sow. This is what I am doing in you tonight, scattering my word with generous hands over the field of your being. Some seed meets a hard path where traffic of old thoughts has packed the ground tight. Birds come quickly there, and you have felt them, the sudden thefts of peace, the darting doubts that argue against rest. Some falls on shallow soil. It springs up fast and wilts fast when heat presses. Some lands among thorns, cares, riches, and demands twine around it and squeeze. But some falls into good earth and bears more than you imagined. Do not despair over your soil. I am the gardener. I break up the path with gentleness. I set a boundary against the birds that once stole what I spoke. I pull thorns from around your attention. I deepen the ground beneath your yes. Tonight, even now, I protect the planting. Here is a second story for your sleep. The seed grows, he knows not how. Night and day, while the farmer sleeps and rises, the earth does its quiet work. Blade, then ear, then full grain. My child, release the thought that constant vigilance is the same as faith. You cannot tug a sprout taller without wounding it. You cannot stare a seed into harvest. Let me work in the dark while you rest. Sleep is not neglect. It is agreement with grace. I am active in the hidden places, cell by cell in your body, thought by thought in your mind, habit by habit in your days, bringing forth what I planted. Even when you cannot see progress, my grace is working quietly beneath the surface. Consider the mustard seed. So small it disappears between fingers, so slight your analysis would dismiss it. Yet planted, it becomes a wide shelter where birds find rest. This is how my kingdom moves through your night, by small obediences that become generous shade, a whispered prayer, a surrendered worry, a choice to forgive when no one is watching. Do not despise the size of your yes. My presence stretches it into a place where others, and even the weary parts of you, can perch and breathe. And the lamp, I do not light it to hide it under a basket. I set it on a stand. Tonight I set my word like a lamp on the nightstand of your soul, and it fills your corners without shouting. What is hidden in confusion will be made clear in time, because I intend revelation, not obscurity. Guard the light by drawing it nearer, not by clutching harder. Doors of grace are open in this hour. Let illumination, not analysis, guide you back to trust. Hear also the stories of pursuit that carry your name. A shepherd leaves 99 to find the one who wandered, not to scold it, but to lift it onto his shoulders, singing. A woman lights a lamp and sweeps her whole house to recover a single coin, and her joy is not about currency, it is about completion. A father waits on the road for a son who rehearsed shame on his way home. I ran before his apology finished, robe on shoulders, ring on finger, sandals on feet, feast in the making. My child, you are not your worst day. You are not your wandering. You are wanted. I do not search grudgingly. I pursue gladly. I do not return you to the porch. I bring you to the table. I am telling you these things so your chest can release and your night can learn. My nearness has its rhythm. I am sowing. I am growing what I sow. I am lighting. I am seeking and finding. And as opposition rose around, my son voices measuring, systems pressing, the door of grace still stood open. So listen closely now. The same door stands open over your bed. Stay within my light. Rest upon my planting, and let me carry you into morning. My child, as the lamp of my word shone, the shadows pressed closer. Questions sharpened into tests. Rules were stacked like stones to fence out the needy. They watched my son on the Sabbath, measuring breaths and glances, hoping to accuse. He called a man with a withered hand to stand in the center, because I do not heal in corners to satisfy fear. Is it lawful to do good on the Sabbath, or to do harm, to save life, or to kill? Silence answered, but compassion did not. Stretch out your hand. Strength returned in open daylight. My child, learn this. When religion presses to make mercy wait until morning, I act now. Not heavy burdens, but light. Not public performance, but secret prayer. Not condemnation, but invitation. They scolded hungry disciples for plucking grain, but the Lord of the Sabbath does not starve his friends to protect appearances. They questioned why he ate with tax collectors and sinners. He answered like a physician at the bedside, I came for the sick. They criticized unwashed hands while missing unwashed hearts. He called them back from theater to truth, from scrubbing the outside of the cup to letting me cleanse the inside. Hear me, I desire mercy, not sacrifice. I do not crush bruised reeds to prove a point. I mend them to keep a song alive. Accusation is a mask the enemy wears when he wants you to mistake me for a judge who enjoys distance. Some things are not random, but refined attacks meant to cover up. My voice dressed in pious vocabulary aimed at your courage. Accusation pushes you into hiding. Shame writes scripts where you apologize for needing me. But my son reveals my heart and leads you forward. When the synagogue rulers frowned at bent backs, he spoke release and straightened what years had curled. When stones gathered around a trembling woman, he bent to the dust and lifted her eyes above the courtroom. Where others weaponized scripture to exclude, he fulfilled it to embrace. Not a loophole, but a larger love. Not a lowered standard, but a lifted soul. So, my child, when you feel pressed by expectations, come closer, not farther. Step into the center where my gaze is kindness and my questions free you. Bring me the ledger you fear I will read against you. Watch me write mercy across it. Close the door and meet me in secret. Let your Father who sees in secret reward you with peace. Doors of grace are open in this hour because I am dismantling the stage where you thought you had to perform. Exchange the costume for closeness. Exchange the gavel for grace. Let truth and tenderness hold you at once. Now the path turns toward Jerusalem, toward the love that will not turn back. Walk with me into that city of questions and altars. Keep your ear on my voice, not on the shouts. I will show you, night by night, that mercy is stronger than accusation, and that the next steps of salvation are already prepared beneath your feet. My child, we have come to the hill of decision where streets narrow and purpose widens. My king enters Jerusalem not on a war horse but on a colt, gentle and determined. Cloaks fall like small altars across the road. Branches become banners for hope. Hosanna rises like a tide, save now, save us, and I receive the longing beneath the noise. Yet, as cheers swell, my son weeps over the city, because he sees the souls behind the stones. If you had known on this day the things that make for peace, hear me tonight. I do not mock your hunger for rescue. I move toward it. Your salvation is not an accident. Jesus moves toward the cross on purpose. He goes to the house called by my name and finds it choked by commerce, prayer drowned under the clatter of coins. Zeal for true worship is not rage. It is love clearing a pathway for your breathing. He overturns tables not to humiliate men, but to unburden the nations. My house shall be called a house of prayer for all peoples. Purity here is protection, not punishment. Space safeguarded so the tired can find me without paying admission. So the child's song is not priced. So the foreigner is not fenced out by noise. The blind and the lame come, and he heals them in the open court. Children shout praise that no market can hush. This is what cleansing means in your night. I remove whatever makes it hard to hear me. Do you feel the clock in these words? The hour draws near. There are doors of grace that stand open only for a brief sacred span, then close again because seasons shift and assignments move. I speak this not to scare you, but to wake you. Do not delay your surrender. When leaves dress a tree without fruit, my son teaches that appearances without trust are a famine to your soul. Tonight, let your yes be fruit, not foliage real, simple, given. You fear that this turn means disaster. I tell you it means design. The enemy stirs confusion, but I am not confused. My son sets his face like flint. No one takes his life from him. He lays it down, and he takes it up again. This path is rescue, planned in love, lamb, chosen before the foundation, altar prepared, mercy ready. Not tragedy spiraling out of control, but covenant, keeping its appointment. Rest under this decree as nighttime settles. I am not late, I am not wavering. The King has entered your streets, gently and on purpose, to clear the clutter between us and to bring you home to prayer. Breathe. The gate is open. Walk through with your surrender in your hands. Listen now at the table where love kneels and betrayal is named without panic. My child, sit close at the table where I set love in front of your fear. Through my son's hands I take bread, I bless, I break, and I give. This is my body, given for you, said not as poetry, but as provision. Through his hands I lift the cup and bind myself to you with covenant language older than your worry and stronger than your weakness. This cup is the new covenant in his blood poured out for the forgiveness you have chased with effort and never caught. Do this in remembrance of me. Remembrance here is not nostalgia, it is medicine. It stitches your night back to my faithfulness, quiets the tremor in your chest by anchoring you to what I have finished. When you remember, fear loses its microphone. When you remember, accusation loses its case. Watch what love does while authority is in the room, power kneels. My son rises from the table, lays aside his garment, takes a towel, and pours water. Majesty ties a servant's cloth and bends over dusted feet. I am not embarrassed to meet you at your lowest places. I wash what the road has done to you. And hear me clearly now, my child, you do not have to earn being cleansed. Do not pull your feet back out of shame. Do not insist on washing yourself first to prove worthiness. Let me serve you, because this is who I am with you, holy love, that stoops without losing royalty, purity that touches without flinching, authority expressed as tenderness. Around this table, I name the fractures without panic. A hand that dips with him will sell him for silver. A voice that vows courage will deny him before dawn. But I am not shocked, and I am not destabilized. The plan is in my hands, not theirs. I expose betrayal to free the others from fear, and I predict denial to preserve the denier from despair. I do not reveal these things to condemn you, but to draw you into a mercy that already anticipates your trembling. Covenant love covers your frailty. I seat you in the presence of enemies, and still prepare a table, not a trap, but a feast of assurance. Take and eat, take and drink, receive what you cannot provide for yourself. The doors of grace stand open in this hour, not to rush you into performance, but to settle you into belonging. Keep the towel and the cup before your eyes as you lie down tonight. I will always meet your dust with water, your hunger with bread, your dread with blood-bought peace. Now we rise from the table and walk into the dark that does not own us. Now we go into the garden where sorrow is faced, not avoided. My child, walk with me into the garden where the night presses like a hand upon the chest. Gethsemane, an oil press where the weight is not metaphor but muscle and sweat and trembling. My son takes friends a stone's throw away, then goes farther still, because there are prayers you must pray face to face with me. He falls to the ground. He calls me Father. He names the cup and does not romanticize it. Sorrow to the point of death is not a failure of faith. It is what true obedience feels like when love bears real cost. I do not look away from his anguish, and I do not look away from yours. Hear me. I understand embodied fear, the throat that tightens, palms damp, the ache behind the eyes, the shallow breath that refuses to deepen. Your body remembers battles. Your nerves learn storms. Some things are not random, but refined attacks meant to cover up my voice. Yet heaven is steady while earth shakes. I send strength in the dark. I appoint an angel to steady shoulders that choose love. My child, do not despise yourself for shaking. Bring the shake to me. Lay it down like he did. If it is possible, let this cup pass nevertheless. Not my will, but yours be done. Do not hear, not my will as coercion. Hear it as rescue. Your will under pressure narrows to survival. My will under pressure opens to salvation. Surrender is not losing. It is stepping into the peace I prepared. When you yield, you are not being erased. You are being aligned. The armor you wore all day, the performance, the control, the analysis that circles like crows, lay it down on this ground. Doors of grace stand open in this hour for a brief sacred span, not to rush you, but to receive your yes. Agree with me where fear cannot argue. Father, into your hands. Let that sentence loosen the knot under your ribs. Darkness gathers at the edge of the grove. Torches flicker. Feet approach. Betrayal kisses what it cannot comprehend. This is spiritual warfare without spectacle, pressure without panic, because purpose is in my hands. Swords flash and ears are cut. He heals even in arrest, because love does not break character under strain. Do you see? Even here, mercy moves as lawless hands fumble with duty they do not understand. My child, when trouble steps into the circle of your night, do not mistake my silence for absence. I am nearer than breath, and sovereignty is not shaken by shouts. Now hold this as I speak it over you for your sleep. What you surrender, I secure. What you yield, I yoke to, my peace. I do not force your trust, I invite it. Let the olive press of this day become oil on your head, anointing for rest, not dread. Breathe with me. Your Savior chose love under pressure, and the path he walked is now a path of peace beneath your feet. And though hands seized him, no chain could seize the purpose. My child, the night moves from the olive press to courtyards lit by borrowed fire. They gather witnesses who cannot agree. Accusation multiplies where truth stands steady. Questions are thrown like stones that cannot bruise him. He answers little, and his silence is not weakness. It is wisdom guarding purpose. When he speaks only what aligns heaven and earth. You will see the Son of Man seated at my right hand. They tear their garments, but they cannot tear the plan. Peter's denial cracks the air like a fragile valve breaking, and the rooster does what law could not, it wakes a heart. I see all of it, and do not turn away. I am not surprised by your trembling. I am saving you through his steadiness. They pass him to Pilate, and politics tries to weigh innocence on a scale built for advantage. My son stands composed where fear paces. He does not perform to survive, he abides to redeem. Barabbas is released, and the guilty walks free while the innocent keeps his appointment. Do not call this chaos, call it substitution. Soldiers plait a crown of thorns and press it into his brow. A robe of mockery hangs on majesty. They strike, they spit, and yet, my child, love does not break character. He carries the cross that will carry your shame off of you. When his strength falters, a stranger is drafted into redemption and learns what it means to shoulder grace. They nail him between thieves, and the sky itself grows dark at noon as though creation mourns what sin requires. Yet listen, Father, forgive them, for they know not what they do. Mercy speaks while nerves scream. A criminal turns his face and whispers hope. Today you will be with me in paradise. A mother stands beneath a son, and I knit a new family with a sentence. Behold, your mother. Everything the prophet sang is fulfilled, not theatrically, but precisely thirst, named, garments divided, a pierced side that will later be a door of water and blood for your cleansing. This is not spectacle, this is your rescue, purchased in public, so you would never again wonder if it was for you. Hear me now, the cross is not your condemnation, it is where condemnation was condemned. Shame is not your name, it was placed on him and broken open. The public stripping that once defined you, failure remembered, sin rehearsed, regret replayed, was absorbed, answered, and ended in the body of my Son. Justice is not abandoned, it is satisfied. Love is not sentimental, it is cruciform. And when he says, "It is finished," that is not a sigh of defeat, it is a verdict for your mind at night. Finished is the end of your frantic accounting, the closure your thoughts could not negotiate, the seal on a covenant you could not write. Into your hands he commits his spirit, and in that yielding I gather you too, drawing your restless will into my rest. My child, take this into your breathing as you lie down. What accused you has lost its courtroom. What defined you has lost its dictionary. You are not the sum of your failures. You are the fruit of my redemption. Some things are not random, but refined attacks meant to cover up my voice. Let the cross unmask them and silence them. I do not lecture you from a distance. I love you at cost to myself. The cross is the end of your condemnation and the beginning of your freedom. Freedom to sleep without the jury in your head. Freedom to wake without the shackle of yesterday. And when it seemed like night had won, I was still writing morning. Hold to that sentence as a blanket. Darkness can drape the hill, but it cannot keep the dawn from its appointment. Rest under the finished work tonight, and let your soul grow quiet at the foot of the tree where your chains came off. I keep watch at the tomb, and even now, while you sleep, I am already turning the key. My child, the world held its breath. The stone rolled like a lid over all the questions, and Sabbath silence wrapped the garden. Do not despise this quiet. It is not abandonment, but incubation. The tomb looked like an end, but in my hands it was a womb. Your enemy sowed whispers in the stillness. It is over. You are over. Refined attacks meant to cover up my voice. But I was working where eyes could not look, knitting dawn within darkness, gathering every thread the night had tried to cut. Hope does not hurry because it is not a mood. It waits because it is a person, and he cannot be late to his own rising. At first light, grief came running with spices. Mary, faithful in the ache, she peered into emptiness and thought it meant loss upon loss. She mistook angels for men and my gardener for a stranger until I called her by name, Mary. Hear me. Resurrection meets you personally, not abstractly. I do not scold tears. I speak through them. I do not condemn confusion. I clarify it by calling you by your true name. She turned, Rabboni, and future replaced the weight on her shoulders. Go and tell. From solitary sobs to sent joy in one sentence, that is what life returning sounds like when I touch despair. Behind locked doors, fear had rehearsed disaster. My child, I stepped into the room without asking the lock for permission. Peace be with you. I did not mock them for hiding. I breathed on them, because breath is what panic cannot manufacture. As the Father sent me, so I send you. Not pressure, but commission. Not demand, but impartation. Doors of grace stood open, and I was not late for any of them. Later, when Thomas clenched his questions like armor, I waited and returned. Put your finger here, see, do not be unbelieving, but believing. I did not shame his doubt, I shepherded it into worship. My gentleness with your questions is not weakness. It is wisdom, strong enough to bear your weight. Listen, while your night softens. Because he lives, your story is not sealed by loss. Graves, literal and metaphorical, do not hold the pen that writes your ending. The season that smelled like burial is already sprouting with beginnings you cannot yet define. Today I stir your heart not to deny reality, but to interpret it rightly. Resurrection resets the verdicts you pronounced at midnight. Not over, but open. Not final, but first fruits. There are doors of grace that stand open only for a brief, sacred span, and this is one. Pass through by agreeing with the living Christ, rather than the dead scripts of fear. Hope is not a feeling, it is my Son who overcame the grave. Hold him, not your projections. Rest your body into this news as into a well-made bed. He is alive, he is with you, and he calls you by name. The enemy uses weariness to muffle this, but I amplify it now over your room, steady and kind. Breathe, align. Let the stone rolling become the rhythm of your heart, weight moving, light entering, air returning. Now, as you lie under the light of the risen one, hear what comes next from his mouth. Peace that steadies, purpose that orients, presence that abides through the night. My child, listen as the living one continues to speak into your room. Peace, I leave with you. My peace, I give to you. Not as the world gives, conditional, fragile, timed by circumstances, but as I give, steady, covenant, near. All authority in heaven and on earth is given to my Son, and he does not wield it to crush you with pressure, but to lift weight off your chest. As the Father sent him, so he sends you not alone, not under threat but under blessing. Tonight, the sending meets the sleeping. The commission is not a whip, it is a hand on your shoulder and breath in your lungs. Your bed is not outside. My mission, it is within it, for I train you to live from rest, not from panic. Go therefore, he says, and I do not send you beyond my presence. Make disciples. Teach them to trust what I have commanded, not to build empires, but to invite others into the mercy you are tasting. Baptize them into the name that holds you, the Father who loves you, the Son who carries you, the Spirit who indwells you. Wait, he said once, until you are clothed with power from on high. Then you will be my witnesses. This is still the rhythm. Receive before you run. Rest before you reach. Be filled before you are poured out. You will receive power when the Holy Spirit comes upon you. Even now, while darkness draws curtains across your windows, I draw near like fire that warms without scorching, like oil that softens what the day has tightened. Let your heart trace the whole story as a single line of love drawn across your night. I came low in a manger so you would not be afraid to come close. I stood in waters and cast down the voice of accusation so you could hear truth. I taught blessing that tucks the soul in, healed without spectacle, quieted storms inside and out. I told parables that worked under the surface while you slept. I faced the press of religion and drew you nearer, entered Jerusalem with purpose, washed your feet, prayed under weight, bore your cross, lay down in the tomb, and rose into an unshakable dawn. This is one story, and you are inside it. Not a chapter read and closed, but a life that abides and carries you. Hear me in the language of the night. I am with you always, even to the end of the age and also to the end of this hour, to the edge of your dreams, to the place where your breathing slows. I neither slumber nor sleep. I keep you as the apple of my eye. When the enemy attempts refined, whispers to cover up, my voice forecasting failure, replaying shame, I draw you under my promise, not alone, but accompanied, not unguarded, but surrounded. Angels stand watch as a gesture of my care, but it is my presence that is your true wall of fire and your gentle glory within. So, my child, let not your heart be troubled, neither let it be afraid. The doors of grace stand open in this brief sacred span. Step through by surrendering to my nearness. Let my authority speak order over your nervous system and quiet your thoughts like waves stilled by a word. The commission rests over you without hurry. The promise rests within you without interruption. Now, my child, let me seal this night over you, covering your mind, aligning your soul, settling your body beneath my word. Stay with me here at the edge of sleep. I remain while you rest. My child, receive now what I delight to give. I draw near, and I pray over you with my own voice. Peace be to your house. Peace be to your heart. Lay down the armor you wore all day, the vigilance that would not blink, the analysis that would not end, the self-protection that kept you braced, and hand it to me. I take your burdens, not to store them for morning, but to carry them where they cannot return. I forgive what accuses you. I lift what bends you. I quiet what startles you. I cover your mind with the helmet of salvation. I steady your chest with the breastplate of righteousness that is mine, not earned. I place your head upon the pillow of my promises, and I breathe rest over you until your thoughts loosen and your body remembers safety. By the authority of the cross and the power of the resurrection, I now silence fear, accusation, and torment. Every refined whisper that tried to cover up my voice is unmasked and dismissed. The threshold of your room is marked by my peace. The air itself is clarified by my presence. Not chaos, but covering. Not alarms, but assurance. Angels keep watch at the edges, but I, myself, am your shield within. I bless your nervous system to receive my command, peace, be still. I bless your sleep cycles to align with mercy. I bless your dreams to be gardens, where I walk with you in the cool of the night. No ambushes, no replayed shame, only restoration and instruction that does not frighten you. I blot out night terrors, close the door to dread, and anoint your bed with the oil of gladness above weariness. Hear me. While you sleep, I work. The seeds of my word, sown through this night, will grow beneath the soil of your awareness. The doors of grace stand open in this brief sacred span, not to hurry you, but to hide you in my nearness. You are not behind, you are held. You are not forgotten, you are named. Commit your spirit into my hands, and let your breathing follow that prayer. I remain while you rest, and I will wake you with kindness. If you need prayer tonight, leave your request below, and write, Jesus, give me your rest. I see, I answer. I gather your petitions into the heart of my Son, where intercession never sleeps. And when you rise, return to this practice. Let the complete story of Jesus be the last thing you hear each night. Subscribe to receive more full-length gospel rest reads. Share this with someone who cannot sleep. Like it to help this. No ads, no music. Scripture reach the anxious and the weary. Now sleep, my child. You are covered in my peace rest, and let my word keep watch.